Hey guys, my name is Carson, and I'm about to take you on a journey through the wonderful world that I like to call typography. Alright, so let's begin. This is something that I made just to show you I know what I'm talking about when it comes to typography. I've taken the typography class, Art 1 or 230. I've taken other graphic design classes that cover typography, so I know what I'm doing. So to begin, I'm going to sum this up as quickly as possible. Let's talk about categories of type, like font categories, families that your fonts can fall into. First one is called serif. Serif font is a font that has these little dealios, these little tail thingies that are called serifs. Would you look at that? Isn't that crazy? So fonts that have those, like Times New Roman, Garamond, stuff like that, that look kind of classic, old school, that's a serif font. Fonts without that are called sans serif fonts. Sans is Latin for without. I think it's Latin. Sans is a language for without. It's a word in a language. And fonts that don't have that are called sans serif fonts. Slab serif fonts are fonts that have really thick, blocky serifs, like this one. This is a slab serif font. Script fonts look all cursive-y, and decorative fonts usually have some sort of weird theme and to them. Yeah. So when do you use each font? Serif fonts work really good if you're making a textbook, or if you're making something that's supposed to look kind of old school and classic. Sans serif fonts are if you want to make something modern and still classic. They work really good on web pages. Slab serif fonts can be really good as a title, or you can have it be a heading, or you could even use it as a body copy, and it will act like a serif font. The serifs help like lead your eye along a line and make things kind of easier to read if you have like a lot of text. Slab serif fonts will do the same thing, but they kind of have a little bit more personality to them. So that's slab serif fonts. Script serif fonts are what you use if you want to take up your entire page with one word, because you have to make them really, 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 really big if you want to use it. I mean, obviously you use it for like wedding stuff or fancy things, I guess. Decorative fonts, if you have like a theme that you're trying to match, use a decorative font. If you're just using a decorative font because it looks cool, don't do it. Just don't. But when you are choosing your fonts, you get to choose one font or two fonts. Can't choose, sorry, this is like backwards, so like I keep on going the wrong direction. Can't choose 3 fonts, you can't choose 4 fonts, 5 straight out. Don't do it. For this thingy that I'm making in my graphic design class, I'm using only one font, and look at it, it's so pretty, and it's only one. If you choose to do 2 fonts, this is why it's important to know your type categories. You have to choose 2 fonts from different type categories that don't look similar. So here are some examples. We got our sans serif font, Avenir Next, and that is right here with our serif font, Garamond. Egyptian Slate is with Avenir Next, slab serif, sans serif. Hitchcock is with American Typewriter, a slab serif, and a decorative. Elegy, or Elegy, is a script font, and it is with a serif font, which is called Centaur. So there are some examples. Real quick, if you choose to use a script font, like I said, you have to make it really big. This is 18 point, this is 72 point, all right, and they are just as legible. So realize that your entire page is going to be taken up by whatever you have in script font. I would only use it for a title or something like that, if you choose to use one. All right, like I said, I like to design things, so I've learned some tricks that I'm going to teach you right now. Make sure that your text color and your background color contrast each other so that you can read it. Make it legible. Widows and orphans. An orphan is when you have something like this. One word at the end of a paragraph that is on a line and it's all by itself. Try to avoid doing that. Like either delete a word up here or add a little bit more, just to add a couple more words down there. It'll make it look a little bit better. If you're doing responsive web design, then that's just going to happen, and you're just going to have to deal with it because things are going to shrink and stuff. And a widow is kind of similar, but it's when you have a whole line that like gets cut off and put on like the top of a new page or column, kind of like this. This is only one word, but like if I like added some more words, I guess, then yeah, there you go, widowed. Better example. Don't use overly used fonts. This is Papyrus. It is a very overly used font. This is Comic Sans. It's also an overly used font. Don't do it. I know that you think that you can, but you can't. Just don't do it. This is Undertale, where they use both Papyrus and Comic Sans. I said sans serif, but I meant Comic Sans. It's Comic Sans, guys. Deal with it. I say things wrong sometimes. But yeah. If you're making the game Undertale, you can do it. Otherwise, don't. Next thing that we're going to talk about, how to know if you can make your font size really small and have it look still legible. Write something that has a capital letter next to a lowercase letter. If your lowercase letter is still pretty big compared to the capital letter, like it is here, then you can make it pretty small and people will be able to read it. If your lowercase letter, like this E, is really small compared to the capital letter, then people won't be able to read it if it's at a small size. So that's something to keep in mind. This page is actually the size of like a printed page. And this is 10-point font, and it's still very, very legible. So there's an example of that. But yeah, that's typography, guys. It's not that hard. If you still can't do it, then hire me as your designer, and I will design everything for you, and it will be so easy, and I will make so much money, and we'll all be happy. All right? But if not, then you can maybe ask me some questions, and I will maybe answer you depending on how busy I am. Let's be honest. We're in college here, guys. But yeah, so there you go. May the force be with you.